What is going on, everybody, and welcome on in to the Garage Beers Podcast, episode 259, and we have got a big-time show planned for you tonight as we've got all kinds of great stuff going on. A little bit later in the show, we are working our way up to the NFL draft, and the Cleveland Browns have made some news, so we're going to talk about that. The Columbus Blue Jackets, we may be having a Columbus Blue Jackets celebration here tonight, or at least the preparations of a celebration we may be having here tonight if in the next 17 minutes or so this game keeps going the way it's going. And we'll talk about the Cleveland Guardians, who, facing a good test in Baltimore, are off to a great start to that series. A lot of that coming up. Plus, we've got a great special guest coming up, play-by-play voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Tim Alcorn joins us to talk about one of the most spectacular Cavalier seasons of all time and to get us ready for the postseason. All that right here on the OBR streaming network. The Orange and Brown Report is your home for the best Cleveland Browns coverage in all of Cleveland. Plus, you get to hang out with us once a week and talk about all the other sports, but make sure you're tuned into the OBR at theobr.com and at the OBR on the socials for all the best Browns coverage. And make sure while you're over there visiting the socials, you get over to the Garage Beers and visit our socials and hit follow there as well. With you as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Find me online at Garage Beers Mike, and joining me tonight over on the east side of Cleveland, find him online at Garage Beers Chad. It's Chad Meyer. What's up, Chad?
You know what show I started watching that I just remember reruns as a kid, but remember being funny? Three's Company.
Oh, come and knock on our door.
Jack Tripper. Whoa, what a player!
What a wild man.
Yeah, one of those two women, and that are his roommates.
Roomies. They were just roomies.
Just roomies. One of those hidden things. One of those questions that I ask is, did Jack Tripper? He had to have. He had to have. At least Suzanne Summers. He had to have. And I also
why are we picking on Suzanne Summers?
And I also now know why everyone was after Suzanne Summers. Like when my brother was like, my brother's age. My brother had the biggest crush on Suzanne Summers. Brett, you listening up there? I get it.
He knew one day that acknowledgement was going to come.
Yeah.
Oh God, what's the neighbor's name? Mr.
Roper.
Oh, Roper. That's right.
Yeah. Oh Roper God. And his wife always trying to get him in bed, but he he won't do it. He was Al Bundy before Al Bundy was Al Bundy.
I would love to have been in like the writer's room when they created the idea for that. Here's the idea. Let's make kind of a sitcom show with a bunch of men and women. They're all just horned up. They're all just weirdly horned up, but we're never going to really talk about it.
Yeah, it's the 70s.
Roper's wife.
We're going to hint at it. But really you're all doing each other. But
oh God. All right. I didn't know we were going to get into threes. Oh, we might have to do a thing where we talk about the best old shows or whatnot.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I am too. Well, it's great to be here again. We got a lot of stuff we're going to get into over the next 90 minutes or so, but we are going to kick things off with a bang because you would think this man needs a break. You'd think he'd need a little minute after a grueling 82-game season that saw the Cleveland Cavaliers have one of the their second most successful season of all time as far as the regular season goes. And, he's getting ready to call some playoff basketball, but I don't know. I feel like when we send a text, this man always answers.
3 hours of sleep is plenty for Tim. 3 hours of sleep is plenty.
That's all he gets. We're going to bring him in right now. He is the radio play-by-play voice for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's our buddy Tim Alcorn. Tim, welcome back into the garage. Oh, Tim, your microphone's off. We got no mic. Do we have a mic? Can you hear him, Chad?
Nope, can't hear him.
All right, good. How's that?
Boom. There he is.
Sorry about that. So what do I got here? I got to point that at the camera.
Was that blue butterfly?
Yes.
Where's that from?
It's a dry hopped saison.
Oh. Ooh. I didn't know you had such an unruly French accent.
Pop a beer and talk some Cavs.
Let's go to. I like how Tim doesn't come in and say hi. He doesn't talk to anybody. He's just like, "Here's my beer. Let's get after it."
A cheers to the playoffs, baby. Let's go. It's time to roll.
Here's the postseason basketball, buddy.
The Tim Alcorn and his.
How did that
French
surprise you
accents.
that I did that?
No, Tim. I think it was great. I'm just surprised you don't have a blue moon.
It looks like
listen,
a blue moon.
I know this is a high class show. I had to go with the saison.
Oh, the saison.
Right? See, what other NBA play-by-play guy is going to get on with you and say, "Here's to the postseason with a saison"?
No, I can't think of anybody. Really?
This is my favorite start to an interview of all time. Right here. This is the best one. Right here. Well, Tim, you just kicked off. I didn't even intro the segment yet, Tim, and you got into it. So you kicked it off. It's time before we get into talking about the Cavs. We got to talk about our 3 cheers of the week. So, Tim, you've got your saison. Chad, what are you drinking over there on the east side of Cleveland?
It's from Missing Mountain. This was from our surprise, little road trip that we went on earlier. It's Coattails. It's a hazy IPA.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, this is what my wife really liked this and brought it home, and I don't. I don't. It is
really?
not good. It is too dry. But you know what? Since I'm going to man up and power through this, but it's the Missing Mountain, great brewery, by the way, right there along the river down there. Great setup, great atmosphere. I just should have picked a different beer. That's all. Hey, they're not all going to be winners. All right, they're not all going to be winners, but I'm still going to get through it anyway.
All
this
right.
one's from Oregon, by the way. I looked on the side from Oregon.
I didn't realize they had such a French connection in the Oregon breweries.
It's the French Pacific Northwest.
Deutschbrewery.com, Bend, Oregon.
Ooh.
Deutsch Brewery. Now, wait a minute.
Where the last Blockbuster is.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's exactly right. They speak it in French accents, and they still rent VHS tapes from Blockbuster.
That's right.
There you go.
Revenge of the Nerds Part 2 is a hot seller there.
That's a great one. I'm going to get to some of the people in the comments here. First of all, I do want to give a cheers to Old Man River 13. Just subscribed for 8 months in a row. Shout out to Old Man River 13. Let's see. We got Jack Horner is having some natty lights. Gotta love that. Our buddy Drew in Brick City, as he always does, warms up with some Bush, not Bush Light, Bush Heavy. And now he's having a fat tire. Jeff Tucker is drinking a Florida Man from Cigar City. That's down in Tampa. That one is a great beer. And that'll bring it around to me. And boys, I'm coming to you live from this beautiful facility in Huntington, West Virginia.
Nice.
Home of Marshall University, the Thundering Herd.
I'm going to be there soon.
In Huntington?
Yeah. I just found out the other day, my nephew's going there to play offensive line.
Hey, all right. So
Nice. D1.
Yeah, let's go, huh?
A herdsman. Well, then you got to check this place out, Chad, because it's my favorite place to go when I come to Huntington. It's called The Peddler.
Nice.
And it's a brewery, and it's got really good food, but it's also like an arcade, so it's fun. It's a fun place to go hang out right on the main drag, right across from my hotel. And I got a beer called the Old Greg. And the Old Greg is a delicious stout.
Do you ever go to a party where people wee on each other?
First of all, threw me right back to like my senior year of college with the Old Greg references. But I've been craving like a good stout. I feel like every time I go to a brewery now, I don't get a stout. Like they don't have them anymore. So I saw it on the menu and I was like, I'm going to need to take some of that home with me so I can have it on the podcast tonight. So the Peddler, Huntington, West Virginia. This is Old Greg. I shouldn't quote more of that skit because it'll get out of hand quickly.
Yeah.
It'll get out of hand quickly.
And Tim's just going to sit there and and look at us.
Hey, I'm enjoying this. This is a good beer.
It is. All right.
See?
Deutsch Brewery. Can you read that? Can you guys?
Things are getting more expensive in the Alcorn household. Things are getting more expensive.
Well, let's not go down that trail.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's not. All right, so those are our garage beers of the week. I got another one, Franziskaner, the Weiss beer from Munich. That's a good one. That is
Bless you.
Chef Brian K. Yeah, hey, that's all right. now it's time for us to get into, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm all over the place. I'm exhausted, to be honest with you. But now it's time for us to get into the meat and potatoes here of episode 259 of the Garage Beers podcast. And Tim, we got to start with this. An 82-game season. And what was this? Is this your was this 4 or 5 for you?
6th.
Is this your 6th year with the Cavs?
Yeah.
Christ.
Hard to believe,
wow.
Isn't it?
Wow.
It is for me too.
I will never forget. This is just a fun story because I always think about this when I think about you doing the Cavs games. I will never forget getting a frantic phone call that I missed. And then an immediate text message that said, dude, you need to call me right back, from our good buddy, Matt Lodi. Rest in peace, Matt Lodi. And he was frantically calling to tell me, hey, you can't tell anybody this, but I just heard that our boy Tim Alcorn's getting the Cavs job.
Let's
and
go.
That's how I found out you got the Cavs job 6 years ago, which is wild. But Tim, in all your years of sports broadcasting, and you've been doing it for a long time, was this year 64 and 18? Is this one of the most fun years calling any sport you've ever had?
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, everybody knew this Cavalier team was going to be a solid NBA playoff basketball team, but certainly there were question marks. I mean, when you bring in a new head coach and there were rumblings during the offseason, should they break it up? Should they not break it up? To see them just explode out of the blocks at 15-0, and then just the momentum of that to carry through the rest of the season and have another 12-game winning streak and then another 16-game winning streak. Sure, it's fun. You're calling winning basketball and with a great group of guys. And I'll say, whether they were 64 and 18 or whether they were 41 and 41, they're great guys. They really are. They're high character, solid citizens. But still, they're enjoying it. We're enjoying it. And it was a lot of fun. There's no doubt. But, it's amazing how quickly now you need to put it in the rearview mirror. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but everybody's 0-0. And the bar has been raised. Now the expectations are there. So, but I think also everybody's really anxious to get started in the playoffs. Let's go. They're itching to get this thing rolling.
I want to pause you. I want to pause it real quick here, Chad, because I do want to take a minute on this because it always feels like that's the conversation. We're going to get rolling towards the playoffs in this conversation. But I do think it's worth taking a minute. It's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, Tim. Every time I want to talk about how good the Cavs season has been, how much fun it's been. Actually, Chad talks about this all the time. And Chad's notoriously not been the biggest NBA guy. But he said, Chad always talks about how this has been just such a fun season and such a fun team to watch and all that. And I feel like every time I try to appreciate this regular season, I get 48 people in my ear being like, well, they got to prove it in the playoffs. I think it's time for everybody to just take a step back and go 82 games of one of the most dominant seasons in franchise history, but also in NBA history. You got to take a step back and appreciate that, right?
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that sentiment. In fact, the three of us always reminisce about our time, or at least when I was at WEOL. And when I was at WEOL, we had the show before then Indians and Guardians games where I would go down to Progressive Field and Hammy would join us. And Hammy constantly reiterated that, man, don't lose sight of the journey. Don't lose how much fun the journey is to get to, in their case, October, in our case, hopefully June. But no, Mike, I totally 100% agree with you. I hope fans and your viewers and listeners don't lose sight of the fact that this was an incredibly special season. To go 64 and 18, number one seed in the Eastern Conference. I mentioned earlier, 15, 12, 16-game winning streaks. We hope for a successful postseason, but don't lose sight of the fact as to how special this season was. It was simply amazing with so many highlight moments.
Yeah, too many times I think people, and it goes for any sport, right? Too many times it's everybody's focused on can this team win a championship that they miss appreciating the greatness that the team has during the season. It's just like the Guardians going. Well, I think they were still the Indians, but the going winning 100 games after that World Series run, right? You know, so many times that has happened. But Tim,
the year they had the 22 game winning streak.
22.
They didn't win it. They didn't win it all that year, but that was one of the most incredible summers of baseball that any Guardians fan, then Indians fan, would ever experience. And again, appreciate that. Hey, I hope we're having a parade in June. Don't get me wrong.
For sure.
But yeah, let's sit back and, as you said, Mike, just truly appreciate how special this year was. It was incredible.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, I wanted to ask you, 15-game winning streak to start the season. And now, obviously, you love to see it. But I wanted to ask you, when did you realize that this was sustainable for this team, right? Because you think 15-game winning streak to open the year, maybe they'll come back down to earth. Are they going to be able to keep this going? When did you realize, at what point in the season did you realize that this is okay? This is a team that's taken a leap, that's taken that extra step.
Well, that's a great question, Chad. I don't know if there was a particular game or if there was a moment where you go, this team's for real. I think as the 15 games to start the season kind of unfolded, you realize something special is building here. And even though they lost that game in Boston for that first loss of the year, you knew they battled the Celtics and they went in there a hungry basketball team. And then they rebounded pretty quick after that. And I think when they ripped off the 12-game winning streak, that's when you realized, wow, that wasn't any flash in the pan to start the season. This team is legit. To me, the West Coast road swing, the first one, when the Cavs went out there and just ran roughshod over people, that was the one that you really went, okay, there is something special going on with this basketball team. And so, again, I don't know if I can point to a specific game and say, I walked out of the arena that night. That's when I knew. You could just feel it, and it was game by game. And keep in mind that as the season started and the winning streak was building, man, they were getting everybody's best shot. Everybody wanted to beat the 10-0 Cavs, the 11-0 Cavs, and they just withstood it. And went to Boston at 15-0 and got beat by the world champs. They weren't going to go 82-0. I think everybody knew that, but you could sense something really special is going on here, and it just kept elevating game by game.
You talked about, and I think the guys in the front office deserve such credit, Mike Gansey and Kobe Altman for tuning out the noise, because there was so much noise after they lost to Boston in the playoffs last year. So much noise about, oh my gosh, having the 2 7-footers isn't a feasible way to play basketball in today's NBA. And is Darius Garland the right guy to be the running mate for Donovan Mitchell? And frankly, remember, we went into this offseason all wondering what on earth is going to even happen with Donovan Mitchell. And then the dominoes start to fall. And Mitchell resigns, and other guys get their contracts, Evan Mobley and Isaac Okoro. And then they bring in the new head coach. And it really seemed to me like they said, and again, never any shade to JB Bickerstaff, but hey, let's bring in a guy with kind of the acumen of running this team the way, offensively especially, the way we think they could get the most out of it, and let's see if it's still not feasible after that. And it was like, let's try it this way first before we start breaking anything up. And they did, and all of a sudden you saw what happened right off the jump. I mean, what are the biggest differences? Tim, you're around them a lot more, and you see practices, and you see just the way the team operates, even behind the scenes. We get to see them on the court. You get to see the other stuff. When you look at the way this team carries itself, and when you look at the way this team is working this year, what are some of the differences that you've seen implemented by Kenny and just by the way the guys are working?
Yeah, well, first of all, Mike, I'm going to reiterate, just echo what you said. I'll never say a negative word about JB. In fact, to me, it's down to Kenny and JB for Coach of the Year. I mean, how ironic is that?
Oh, yeah.
But my very first year, we mentioned that I'm now in my 6th. My very first year was the 19-win season when JB took over after the All-Star break. And, I'll share with you, he inherited a mess. And from where they were at that point to what he took them to, the Final Four in the Eastern Conference last year, he did a remarkable job, and he instilled a winning culture. And he instilled some discipline, like, hey, we're going to get it done this way because this is how winning basketball is played. So I will always tip my cap to JB, and I'm thrilled that he for the success that he's had in Detroit, unless we face them in the playoffs. But no, he's done a hell of a job there. So, but Kenny and I agree with Kobe and Mike Gansey. Listen, sometimes you just need a different set of eyes. You need, and the players need to hear a different voice for whatever reason that is. And as you said, I'm privy to a lot of things, but I'm not in the film sessions. I'm not in the locker room. And maybe they needed to hear a different voice. But what Kenny did, and I'll tell you what, he laid it out there in his introductory news conference. I can still hear it. I've got ideas. I've got plans to unlock Evan Mobley and to unlock this team offensively. And he was point blank asked, well, you got two small guards. I don't consider them small. I can make this work. And he didn't say it in a cocky way. He didn't say it as, I'm the all-knowing. He just said, I've got some ideas, and I'm going to sit down with these guys. And so he brought that vision, and he brought that attitude. And I'll tell you what, when I went down to IMG, I was fortunate enough to be there for training camp in Sarasota. Guys from practice one, from day one, he had their attention. And he had met with them before training camp, but he had their attention. They were bought in. I mean, their eyes were glued to him. He was the voice in that gym. And you could sense from the very first day, he's got these guys. They've bought in. Now, maybe if they'd come out of the gate at 5-10 rather than 15-0, that may have dissipated. But he had a vision, and especially on the offensive end, the movement, the fluidity, the Golden State influence, having been there for 3 years with Steve Kerr. It was evident, and it's been evident throughout the whole year.
Yeah, I see it in the comments here. Our buddy Drew in Brick City says, just watching the games, Kenny's rotation strategies are awesome, and he has figured out a way to put this team together. But I think when you're talking about the Cavaliers and you want to talk about like the players and how they've come together, I always want to start singling things out. The thing about this season, though, Tim, is that it's just, I feel like it's impossible to single. We'll be here all night if we start singling players out, because are we going to talk about this bounce back season from Darius Garland? Are we going to talk about a guy that should be getting more MVP love in Donovan Mitchell? Are we going to talk about this? It's not even to call what Evan Mobley did this year a leap is unfair to what Evan Mobley did this year. Or the most efficient player in the NBA, Jared Allen. Are we going to talk about these bench guys, the Virginia Cavaliers off the bench, or Sam? I mean, like, I feel like we could just go on and on and on, and we could do 10 minutes on each guy. But it really feels like in order to facilitate that kind of growth within a team, yes, there has to be the toughness level and the accountability from both the coaching staff and the players alike. But there also has to be this kind of camaraderie and this I don't know, this kind of coming together of these guys. And it feels like you can really see it. I mean, are you seeing that when the cameras are off and you're just watching practices and stuff? Are you seeing that same kind of stuff?
Absolutely. This is a tight-knit group. And not that they were fractured last year. I don't mean it in that sense, but they're hungry. They're driven. And when you're around them at practices, as you alluded to, or shoot-arounds, or even on the bus or at dinners at the hotel the night before a game, they're all sitting together. They're laughing. They're watching their phones. You tend to forget they're in their 20s. They're young guys. They're going to be on their phones. But it's a solid group of guys, and I do think Kenny has a lot to do insofar as the elevation or the evolution of these guys' games. As I mentioned, going all the way back to training camp, I think from day one he sat down with guys and said, "Here's your role. Here's what I want you to do. Don't overdo what I'm asking you to do. Just play your role." He sat down with Donovan and DG and Jared Allen and said, "I don't want you playing 36, 38, 39 minutes a game. I want to cut back those minutes. By the way, guys, it's going to affect your stats. Your productivity is going to go down if people look at just numbers, but your legs are going to be fresh in March and April." That means Ty Jerome. And at that time, George Niang, Karis LeVert, Dean Wade, those bench guys were going to play key roles, and they were going to play critical minutes, but they knew their role. They knew, hey, Mitchell and Mobley are going to be the first two out of the game every game. And at that time, it was usually LeVert and Niang are going to go in. Now it's Jerome and Hunter. But everybody had a role. Everybody bought into their role. And Kenny sold them on their role. And then once the success happened, now it just becomes this avalanche. We're like, wow, this is working and we're cooking. And man, it just became
Now, I'm
a
not going
dream
to single
season.
anybody out, like Mike said here, Tim. But I want to ask you, and it's obviously pretty broad. But is this team where it's at this season without the emergence of some of these bench guys?
No, absolutely not. I mentioned on the air the other day because the Cavaliers have 2 6-man of the year contenders with Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter. Now, DeAndre did a lot of his work with the Hawks, but I mentioned the other day the Cavs would have a terrific season without Ty Jerome. They wouldn't have 64 wins without Ty Jerome. What that guy did on some nights, either to rally the team when he came off the bench or sustain the team, or just these incredible efforts that you saw, not just in scoring, but just the scrappy way that he plays. Yeah, I mean, they had a lot to do with the success. And to me, Hunter was the missing piece. Maybe we'll touch on him in a couple of minutes, but you bring DeAndre Hunter in. When the team was 41-10, that deal was made when the Cavs were 41-10, and Kobe Altman and Mike Gansey, as Michael mentioned earlier, man, you got to tip your cap. It's 41-10, and you've got 2 guys in a really tight locker room that you're sending to Atlanta to bring DeAndre Hunter in, and yet he swung the deal. He pushed the chips into the table, saying, "We're all in. We're going for this thing." So yeah, it's a very tight knit group, but those bench guys have had so much to do with this team's success.
Well, Tim, you hit on one thing that I was going to ask you, how you think it's going to affect moving forward. As we start to look forward now, we start to look to the postseason. One of the things that I just can't stop being excited about is the way Kenny Atkinson managed those minutes of those starters. I mean, the Cavaliers, for the majority of the season, I think all the way till the end, especially of the playoff teams, they played their starters some of the least amount of minutes in the entire NBA. And they were able to do that because of, like Chad said, and the emergence of the bench players. But now looking ahead and looking into the postseason, now is where we see that start to pay off, right? This is the payoff time for that, because you would think the way the Cavaliers have played their primary guys, that there should be this level of freshness to this team, especially if you're going to have a week off. There should be this level of freshness to the team going into the postseason, and that is something that when you watch last year's team and you remember how exhausted, even the guys the guys hurt, obviously, in the playoffs last year, but the guys that weren't hurt were just dead. They were dead out there. Their legs were gone. That, I think, is going to be very different for the playoffs this year.
And that was a big picture view from Kenny Atkinson. Listen, we're 10, we're 20, we're 30 games in, but I'm not going to play guy 35, 38 minutes a night. We need to keep them fresh. And so that was huge. And to your point, Mike, they're going to be very fresh and they're going to be healthy going into the playoffs. And that's a big difference from last year and even 2 years ago against the Knicks. So, yeah, that's positive number one. Positive number 2 is now he can extend their minutes, and he will, the starters, I mean. Those guys will probably get up to about 35, 36 per game, because when you get into postseason basketball, unless you're in a blowout scenario, you want your 5 best players on the floor for as long as they can go. Well, now they'll be able to go longer because, to your point, they're not going to have dead legs. They're not going to be fatigued. So I don't think he'll shorten the rotation. Kenny has said, listen, 10 guys, we played them all year, and they got us to 64 and 18. The minutes may get reduced for those bench guys, or there may be a night or two where one of them play or doesn't play because of a matchup or because of whatever the case may be. But I still think those bench guys are going to be critical. But on the flip side, having minimized those minutes for the starters all year long, it's going to pay huge dividends now in the postseason.
Well, yeah, that's why. I mean, Donovan might have to play the whole game in the playoffs, right? I mean, I know that's not the whole game, but I mean, that's exactly why you shorten the minutes, no?
Right. No, that's exactly right. Donovan's, again, productions stat-wise went down this year simply because his minutes went down. It was It was the lowest amount of minutes he's played per game in his NBA career. So he should be raring to go. Kenny said if the game Friday at Madison Square Garden or the season finale against Indy had any sort of ramifications, he would have played. But they're like, hey, just hold him out and have him ready for Sunday for game one. And so everybody's healthy. Everybody's raring to go. Yep.
Did you get a sense, Tim? To me, it felt like the last month-ish of the season, it felt like they hit a little lull, even though they were still winning games. It's a weird thing to say, but they weren't kind of playing and winning the same way as they had before. It was almost the opposite. They were winning before by like erasing deficits and then just expanding leads in the second half. And this back part of the season, this very end of the season, saw the Cavaliers blow a lot of deficits. I mean, there were a lot of games that the Cavaliers had a 13, 14, 15-point lead, and it was gone within the span of a quarter. And then they had to like hang on or come back to try to win. And it felt to me like they were actively trying to like work things out as they were playing. And you heard Donovan Mitchell talk about, how he liked going through some adversity, and he wanted the team to experience a little of adversity before they went into the playoffs. But I don't know. Is there any concern of yours at all with this basketball team that I know people always want the team to be playing at a peak going into the postseason. And even though the Cavaliers had been winning some games, it doesn't feel like they were at that like peak level. Should people be a little concerned about this?
I don't think so. And I agree with what Donovan says. And now he's not the coach, but the three of us, we've all talked to coaches over the years. And they'll always tell you, sometimes off the record, I want to see what happens with our guys when something bad takes them down a bad path. They want to see how a team will respond. And listen, it's an 82-game marathon. They weren't going to win every game the way they had done it through the first third and then 2/3 of the season. I mean, there was bound to be a lull. They built such a lead on Boston that, I think they took their foot off the gas a little bit. They knew maybe 3-4 weeks ago, I think. I mean, I kept saying it. They're going to be the number one seed. They had just stacked too many wins for Boston to catch them. So they took their foot off the gas. I also think Kenny did some experimenting with rotations and with lineups, and you saw a lot of the small ball. You saw a lot of different things in that final month. And boy, I thought Kenny's answer was just absolutely brilliant when he was asked about that. He said, "Listen, you get to postseason basketball, and you're in a scenario. You can't say, well, let's try this, even though we've never done it. Even though we've never done it during the year." Even if you try something 3, 4, 5 times coming down the last month of the season, you at least have some video of it. You at least can go into a huddle and say, yeah, we did this, 3 or 4 games ago or during the end of the season. You want to have something to look back on. So he was doing some different things at the end of the regular season just to have in his pocket to say, if we get into a scenario against an Orlando or against the whoever or against the Boston, let's see what we have with this combination on the floor. I thought it was brilliant.
By the way, right now, as we get ready to start looking into the playoffs, the play-in has started. And I don't know about you, but I'm a hardcore rooter of the Orlando Magic tonight. I would love for the Magic to win and lock up that 7 seed and have a nice, tough, physical series against the Boston Celtics. That would be fantastic. But also, and Drew also said this before, watching Niang and LeVert with Atlanta, I would love for Atlanta to then bounce back and win in 2 days. How much fun, Tim, would an opening round series against these boys, George Niang and Karis LeVert, be against the Atlanta Hawks?
Oh, the quotes from George would be classic. I mean, you would be getting George Niang quotes for an entire series. And listen, he's an awesome dude. I really got to know George pretty well in his time with the Cavaliers. And I mean, he's funny, he's gregarious, he knows basketball. And but yeah, I mean, he's a reporter's dream. So that would be a lot of fun. I saw Orlando had a huge lead, and then Atlanta got it down to 3. I think it's back up to about 8 or 9 now. But
82-75 Magic.
Yeah. So, but that would be fun. And, people say, well, Atlanta beat us twice during the season. Well, that's when they had DeAndre Hunter.
Who also and he averaged like 28 points a game against us.
Right. So, now DeAndre is not nearly as vocal as George and or Karras, but, I'm sure it would be very special for him as well. So that would be a fun series. But I'll tell you what, Mike, a team to keep an eye on here is Chicago. Of the 4 play-in teams, I'm not talking 1 through 6, I'm talking the 4 play-in teams. Chicago may have been playing the best basketball going into the play-in as far as closing out the regular season. With Giddey and Kobe White, they've really got something going in that backcourt. So, we'll see. But, a Cavs-Hawks series with all those storylines, that would be great.
It's what I'm rooting for. It's 100% what I'm rooting for. You look at the breakdown and you look at the teams now, and you've already talked about Detroit and what a run they've had. And again, I've said it since he left. I credit a lot of the Cleveland Cavaliers' excellence on defense that they normally display to JB Bickerstaff and what he instilled in this team. Not to say that Kenny isn't doing that as well, but you look at Indiana has been playing much better lately, and I know the last game on Sunday wasn't real indicative of Indiana because that was G League All-Star game basically. You look at the Knicks,
by the way, Indiana's record for the final 45 games, so that's more than half of a year. That's a big enough sample size. 32-13 in their last 45 games. That equates to a 60-win season, and they finished with 50. But yeah, don't sleep on Indiana. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No. I think it's. I think there are some teams when you go through a year like the Cavaliers have had, you tend to sometimes mentally look at the other teams and say, it's just Indiana. And I think Indiana can be dangerous. You talked about Chicago's been good. We experienced it last year. How physically demanding. That's why I'm desperately rooting for Orlando to win this game. How physically demanding a series against Orlando can be.
Right.
And we haven't even talked about the fact that the Milwaukee Bucks are still sitting there, and they're in the postseason, and they're so up and down and inconsistent, but they're there. And obviously the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics. So what do you think the biggest takeaway, Tim, is from the last 2 postseasons? 2 years ago, it was that loss against the New York Knicks. It was the Jared Allen quote where he said the lights were just a little too bright. I wasn't ready for how bright the lights were, and he's been roasted for it ever since, fairly or not. And it was a real disappointing end of the year. Last year, it was a really tough win against that Orlando team, and then you go into a Boston series just basically helpless without a few of your major contributors. What are the things that you think the Cavaliers learned from the last couple postseason runs that this group of guys, this still young group of guys, although guys like Donovan Mitchell have plenty of playoff experience, can take into this year's playoffs?
Well, the word you just used, experience. My dad used to always tell me, Tim, you can't buy experience off a shelf. You got to earn it. And the Cavaliers, they earned that experience the last 2 years. As you said, that was a real tough loss to the Knicks a couple of years ago. And I think out of that, the Cavs learned how physical NBA playoff basketball is, how mentally tough and what a grind it is, even though they lost to the Knicks in 5 quick games, just to another level mentally, what it takes to compete and the physicality of it. And now you move into the following year, that 7-game war against Orlando, as you said, Mike.
Oh.
That was just a battle night in and night out. Although the Cavs, I think it was game 3, suffered their worst playoff loss ever. But for the most part, it was just a pitched battle between those teams. So again, you learn what it takes. And I think the Cavs learned a great lesson in the game 7 when they were down 18 on their home floor. You have home court advantage, but you rally to win. And so I think in that case, it was like you're never out of it. You just got to keep fighting. Jim always says during the broadcast, just keep playing because you don't know. And then, as you said, the Boston series, listen, I don't look back at that series and go, oh, man, they got their butt whooped. They didn't have Jared Allen. Donovan missed the last 2 games. So, and I'm not saying they would have beat Boston, but I think it may have gone 6, maybe 7 if they had Jared and if they had Donovan. So the takeaways are the physicality of NBA playoff basketball, the mental toughness that you have to have. And I think it's more that than anything else. Man, it's a grind. I've heard players say that when you win an NBA playoff game or an NBA series, it's not so much a celebration as it is a relief because you're just so mentally exhausted. And
Till that last one.
Yeah. Although I'm sure then there's some relief too. Like, wow, we won 16 of these things. I mean, you got to keep in mind it's 16 wins to have a parade. So that's a mental challenge. That's a physical challenge. But I think the Cavs have learned from that. And that's where I give Kobe and Mike Gansey just inordinate credit to say, we're sticking with these guys. Listen, we believe in them, and they've been through these battles, and they've got some pretty big scars, but they'll learn from that. And I think this team has, and I'll tell you what, they are hungry. They're driven to win multiple rounds.
You know what? That brings up an interesting point in my head. Everything you just went through there, Tim, and that's like people and everything that Mike just said earlier about, they got to prove it in the playoffs. They got to prove it in the playoffs. This is a team with playoff experience. Mm-hmm. This is a team that hasn't been there, right? Like this is a team that hasn't, like, this is a team that is it's their first time in this position. They don't have anything to prove in the playoffs. They just have to go out and play their game. What do they have to prove? They don't have to prove anything.
Well, they have to prove that they can win multiple rounds. So, and again, I think that's what Kobe has talked about insofar as to the progression of the team. You got to the play-in 3 years ago, and that's when they lost to Brooklyn and Atlanta. So you got to the play-in, and then you got to that first round where you skipped the play-in. But as Mike said, and Jared will forever live with that quote, but he said it. That maybe the lights were too bright, but you learn from it. But what they have to prove now is, okay, we have those scars and we've learned, and now we're ready to take it to the next level. And the history of the NBA shows you this. Detroit had to finally take down Boston, and they finally did. And then Chicago had to take down Detroit, and then somebody had to take. That's the way the NBA works. You got to scale that mountain. And I'm not saying they're going to beat Boston if it becomes that in the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston has what the Cavs want, and Boston's not going to give it up easily. They're the defending world champs, and that's a team that knows what it takes to win an NBA championship. It didn't happen overnight for Tatum and Brown. It may not happen overnight for Mitchell and Garland and Mobley and Allen, but you just keep chipping away. You keep pounding away at that rock, man, and pretty soon you'll bust through.
Speaking of Boston, if I could interject really quick, then we can get back to. I just turned on the Atlanta-Orlando game, and Orlando's leading by 10. And I believe the winner of this game is the 7th seed, right, and plays Boston.
Yes.
Boston is 4-6 in their last 10 games against Orlando, so Orlando's going to give them fits. I cannot wait.
Listen, Mike and I were talking when you stepped away for a moment. That's a physical team. And they know the Cavs. I mean, that 7-game war, there's a lot of video there that they can go back and study. Now, this is a little bit of a different Cavs team with Kenny at the helm, but the players are the same. But they'll knock you around because they are not a real skilled offensive team, especially with the loss of Jalen Suggs. So they know they got to make it physical. They got to muck the game up. And in playoff basketball, more often than not, the officials will let you do that. So, they can go out there and swing some elbows with Boston in that first round and beat them up a little bit. That's fine by me.
Perfect. Yeah, just go ahead. Go ahead. Beat them up as much as you can. Go ahead. Legally, of course.
Tim, it's a Cavaliers season that saw the Cavaliers win 78% of the games that they played, which is unbelievable. The way I always look at the playoffs is you got to win at minimum 57% of the games that you play in order to win a championship. You have to go 16-12 is the worst that you can do. You got to win 57% of your games. So you got to win them in the right order. But for the Cavaliers to do that, Tim, and then we'll let you get out of here. When you think back to this team and what we watched this year, it's so goofy to say anything negative because they were just so good all year. but as you've watched this team grow and learn and play and evolve and change and all that, for them to be successful and for them to reach the goal that they want to reach, which is that 16th win, 16 more wins. What's the key to it for you? And maybe just a second part of that is there an area of the game for them? Is there an area where you have noticed where if they do certain things here or there, they tend not to kind of play as well? So what's an area for them to clean up, and what's something for them to really key on in order to get those 16 wins?
Well, I think, listen, if you go back and watch the games or go back and go through the box scores, teams that are physical, that are big physical basketball teams, the Clippers out in LA when Zubats just owned them. Those are games and those are teams that the Cavs generally have problems matching up with. But I also think that they've learned, as we talked about, the last couple of years in the playoffs, it becomes a more physical game. And I think they'll be ready for that. I think that's part of the reason they went and got DeAndre Hunter. He'll mix it up. He's a 6'8" guy, but he's not afraid to swing some elbows and get involved and go out and defend and be physical on the defensive end. We've seen Ty Jerome do that. Strus is a guy. He'll mix it up. So I think the level of physicality is something that has bothered the Cavs, but I don't think it will necessarily be a major concern come postseason time. And to me, what the Cavs have learned the past couple of years, and to me, a key is going to be that you have to have strong bench play. And, again, it's not JB's fault. 2 years ago, last year, he'd look at that bench and go, I might as well keep the other guys in there. I mean, and that's not disparaging against the bench. Now, Kenny's going to look at that bench with Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter and Dean Wade. And, Sam Merrill, I think, has really shown that he can be a valuable piece. Bench play is going to be critical. And I think the Cavs bench, by far, is better than any other bench in the Eastern Conference.
I think you're 100% right. Tim, you got hopefully a lot of playoff basketball to call this year. I hope I
got a couple of more Garage Beer podcasts coming up.
Damn right.
I'm stocked up.
Damn right. I mean, it's an open invite anytime. Tim, come on.
It's always an open invite, but I will tell you that at some point over the next 2 months or so, I would love to have a garage champagne with you. I would love to have a garage champagne on this show with you.
There you go. There you go. Maybe I'll get you a spot in the parade. How's that?
I missed the first one. I missed the one in 2016. So it's eaten away at me ever since.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
So we'll see. Let's not put the cart before the horse. But I think it's going to come down to the Cavs in Boston in the East. I think it's going to come down to OKC and whoever. Look out for the Clippers in the West.
The Warriors too.
But the Cavs in Boston, that's going to be an epic Eastern Conference Finals, and I think they're just on a collision course.
And we're here.
I think they are too, but again, like you said, take care of what's in front of you for the Cavaliers. Hopefully, I'm going to be pulling so hard for Atlanta because I think it would be fun. But you take care of what's in front of you, and you don't put the cart before the horse. And I think if the Cavaliers focus that way, they've got every bit of talent to do it. And we are so excited to be listening to you call the games. Listen, especially when it's on. Nothing against the national broadcast guys, because they're there for a reason. But when these games are on like TNT and ABC and all that stuff, that's fine. Put it on the TV, mute that thing, and put Tim Alcorn's voice on in your house. I promise you will not regret it. That's what I'm going to be doing the whole time throughout the playoffs. And I can't wait to hear you call these games, Tim. And I hope you and Jonesy and the rest of the guys have just so much fun with these broadcasts, because I think they've brewed up a magical season, and it's really cool that you guys get to be a part of it.
It has been. And listen, we'll see how it unfolds, but you guys have been great friends for so many years. So anytime you shoot me a text, I'm going to make it work. And obviously, let's hope we're having a couple of more of these, and then we'll do a celebratory one at the end of June.
Let's go.
I love it. Go drink the rest of that saison and enjoy the rest of your night.
And let's get another ring, baby. Come on.
Thank you so much for coming back on with us, Tim. And we'll
Cheers.
talk to you again soon.
All righty, guys.
That's Tim Alcorn, the radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers. As we get ready, the Cavaliers' first game officially is Sunday of round one. Again, we don't know who they're going to play yet, but right now it looks like Orlando is trying to wrap up this game against Atlanta. So Orlando will likely be taking on Boston. And we did, when you stepped away, Chad, that's what we were talking about, was how excited I am that Boston may get Orlando in the first round because just of how physical and how demanding that series is going to be.
Whether Boston wins or not, they're gonna get the shit beat out of them in that series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. All I talked about was how I really want to see Atlanta because of George Niang and Karis LeVert. I'd love for them to come back and play a series against the Cavaliers.
I guess since we're getting an asshole of the week, that's George is one of my assholes. Did you see that thing with interaction with Ty Jerome?
Yeah, I think they're playing around. They're just
no, that's fine. No. Talk your shit, minivan, huh? The semi truck and Ty Jerome's gonna come run you over, pal, huh?
Whoa! Is that a new nickname for Ty Jerome?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't know. Fuck it.
The semi truck.
Yeah,
that's a terrible nickname for him.
I just want to be. I just want to be a two-time NBA champion, Mike. Okay, I just want to be a two-time NBA champion. You know, like I said, I already have one ring.
Is this what greed is like?
I already have one ring. Just give me another.
Is this what greed is like? Is asking that one of your teams in your city wins 2 titles within 10 years? Is that greedy?
No, absolutely not.
It feels wrong.
No, because after this one, it's probably gonna be another 50 before it happens.
That's right.
Yeah. No.
Anyways, again, big time shout out to Tim Alcorn, the Cavs radio voice. You'll be able to hear him all playoffs long on the radio waves for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So big time shout out to Tim Alcorn. Go follow him on Twitter at Cavs Alcorn. But a really good friend of ours, and we love having him on, him and his beautiful Saison beer. Chad, you already brought it up, but we're going to split up the show here by doing one of our favorite segments of the week, which is our asshole of the week. And our asshole of the week is just somebody that's been an asshole. Could be a single person or group of people or whatever, but just somebody that needs to be called out for being an asshole. So Chad, you kind of like kicked it off. So why don't you said one of your assholes of the week?
Yeah.
So you made it sound like you have multiple. So why don't you just keep going, man?
I have 2 assholes.
Gross. One of them's right on your face.
I was just going to let that breathe for a minute.
God.
First one was Niang. I don't know. I mean, if it was sarcasm, then yeah, whatever. My second one is going to be the NC2A. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure everybody by now has seen or heard the story of the Nico Mjoliva, nailed it, story. And it's in case anybody has been living under a rock, Nico Mjoliva, got it, is no longer in the Tennessee football program, is because he wanted to renegotiate his NIL deal, and Tennessee refused to. So Tennessee said, no, we're moving on. And so did Nico, and he's now in the transfer portal because of it. And you know what? I don't blame Tennessee. I don't blame Nico. I blame the NCAA, because this is what was going to happen in the first place. You were going to get someone that wasn't happy, or someone that thought they deserved more money than they do, than they already have, and this is how it's going to blow up in their face. And this is how it's blowing up in a program's face. Tennessee is just the first of many. So until some sort of guardrails, some sort of regulation happens, some sort of conversation happens, to where they get this thing some structure, this is just going to continue to happen. So nobody should be mad at Nico, because he's just taking advantage of the system as how it's set up right now. And nobody should be mad at Tennessee, because if players want to act, if college football players, if these kids want to act like professional athletes right now, professional athletes get cut and released all the time. So this is what's going to happen. NCAA, you brought this on yourself when you instituted this without any sort of structure at all. So here you are. This is what we're in. This is the situation we're in now.
Yeah, I think that's the key, because again, I'm always going to be a proponent of paying players.
1,000%.
Always going to be a proponent of, we sit here and everybody sits and bitches and complains about these players who are the backbone of this multi-billion-dollar structure,
yeah,
making money on it, which is just outrageous. But you hit the nail right on the head. When you institute something and you just, it feels like it was like halfway thought out. It was like, well, just do this. And you didn't put in protections for both the players and the organizations. You didn't put those guardrails in. Yeah, what are you going to do? Hey, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a quick break from our Asshole of the Week segment because we've got the opposite of that. Who just jumped in?
Let's go.
We haven't even started talking about this yet, but I can't wait. We have a special guest. We have a surprise special guest. And I cannot wait for you guys to see who this is, because coming to you live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the home of the Philadelphia Flyers, where the Columbus Blue Jackets just wrapped up a dominant 3-0 victory over the Flyers to keep the playoff hopes alive into game 82. We've got our buddy Dave Metzold. Dave, you're looking real good in Philadelphia tonight, buddy.
And that's hard to do because not everybody looks good in Philadelphia, right? So, man, how about this one tonight, boys? Pretty special.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was. And Jet Greaves, I mean, 1 goal in the last 3 games, and that was to Alex Ovechkin. I mean, think about that. Unbelievable.
How good was he tonight? He was, I mean, maybe it was in the second period. Does he have the fastest glove you've ever seen in your whole life? The glove saves?
It really is unbelievable, right?
Like go ahead.
Because you talk about shooters who go, okay, I'm going to go high glove or I'm going to go low blocker or whatever. People try to go high glove on Jet. It doesn't work, right? He just,
foolish.
Really, really quick glove hand. Just amazing tonight. And not just that, but the way he handled deflections, the way he played on the penalty kill, he was all over it tonight.
Dave, you're the ringside reporter for the Jackets, so you see these guys coming off the ice after this game. Give us a little descriptor of what the mood and the vibe is like in that locker room, knowing the current situation for the Blue Jackets.
Well, it's funny. I asked Zach Werenski about it. I had him in the walk-off interview on FanDuel, and he said it's fun. It's just fun to play in hockey games like this, and I think that's really true. These guys know the situation. They know as a group what the situation is. They know as a group what it takes to win these kind of games, and it's fun when you're scoring first and when you're scoring a lot, like they have been in the last 3 games, 7 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals tonight. I mean, that's fun hockey to play, knowing what's on the line. I mean, they're doing everything in their power to make this thing happen, which is really cool to be around.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, I want to go back to Jet for one quick second. You can tell when a goalie is locked in, especially in meaningful games like this. I mean, it's if Jet stays this way, there's no reason they wouldn't be able to beat the Isles on Thursday. I know we still have Montreal and Carolina to go tomorrow, but there's no reason he can't beat the Isles if Jet continues to play like this.
100% agree with you. And the other beauty of Jet Greaves is he's so modest about it. Like, we just got down in the locker room with him, just trying to ask him about, what's going on, why are you playing so well? And he immediately deflects the credit to the guys in front of him. Really will not take any credit for what he's doing, which, I mean, in fact, I said, because Adam Fantilli said, look, man, he's only allowed 1 goal, and that was to Ovechkin. So I repeated that back to Jet Greaves, and he goes, yeah, Adam told me that too. He's funny. And that's all he said. I was like, that's pretty funny.
Oh, man.
No, this is, I think from our perspective watching this, the level of fight, determination, and just never give up from this team is just incredible to see, Dave. As you guys are watching this, you guys that are around the team a lot, your broadcast partners, everybody that you work with, I mean, I'm sure the conversations have to you guys got to be having just as much fun, right? Like this is unbelievable.
It's a blast, especially when you consider that Toronto-Ottawa trip, which did not turn out very well. We come back home and we're like, well, that's it. Probably got to start looking forward to next year. And lo and behold, they've ripped off 5 straight. And they're playing really good hockey, and they're still in it. I mean, no matter what, the last day of the season, they are still in the race, and nobody had that when the season began for sure. So that's made it really I'm you got to call the season a success right now, no matter what happens tomorrow night, no matter what happens Thursday night. It's been a successful year. It's been really fun.
So I'm curious here, Dave. Well, when in that rough stretch that they hit, that kind of took them out, not out of the playoff race, but really put them in the situation that they're in now.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the vibes were then. I mean, did they start to play loose because here we go? Like, is this all right? Here we are. We're back in a situation. Like, what was Was there a moment with these guys where it just turned around, or was it just kind of business as usual? Like,
So
where did that turn around?
I think it's two things. I think number one, they started to play a little looser because maybe they thought, okay, well, the pressure's off. But I also think they learned from that tough stretch what kind of hockey it takes to play playoff style hockey. And they started playing that way. They've had a little bit more of an edge to their game, which Dean Evison has described, a little bit more bite to their game, which they've all described. And Matthew Olivier, I think, put it best when we were in the midst of that road trip and in the midst of that little drought. He goes, look, we're going to keep playing hard until there's either an X next to our name or a little E next to our name, which means either they're in or they're out. So it's the old adage, right? Just keep playing. It's not over till it's over. And it certainly is the case here.
Listen, I think the most impressive part about this, and Chad, I think you just mentioned it, is it feels like they've loosened up. It doesn't feel like they've tightened. It feels like they've loosened up. And when they play the way that they're playing, you mentioned it before, Dave. I say this, but they have these moments where they look dominant out on the ice. They don't just look, they're not fluking into things. They are dominating teams.
Yeah, telltale sign of that was, okay, they beat a Washington team at home 7-0, but there were a lot of regulars out of their lineup, right? They had a journeyman goaltender. The Capitals did. Right. Ovechkin didn't play in that game. Protas didn't play in that game. I can't remember if Chikrin was back or not, but they had a less than all-star lineup. But then they go to Washington the next night, and they beat them 4-1 after giving up the first goal of the game. That's remarkable. That's remarkable hockey at this time of year to play a team that's likely going to win the President's Trophy. I mean, it's remarkable to do what they did. And then finish off the road trip here in Philly, which is, I don't care what you say. I don't care where Philly is in the standings. It's never an easy game. And Philly has been playing well as of late. So for them to do what they did is, again, remarkable.
All right, Dave, I know you got to go, but I just want to, I just want to know. I mean, is there going to be a watch party tomorrow with the boys, like watching the Carolina Montreal game? What do you think about tomorrow night? Are you just going to be sweating? What are we doing?
I will be. I asked Zach Werenski that in the walk-off, and he said they'll probably be watching it in smaller groups as opposed to what they did here, which was they all watched it in a hotel. They watched that game last night, so they'll probably be all watching it in groups and texting one another and keeping in contact. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to be the biggest Carolina Hurricanes fan you have ever seen.
We all are.
Because, I mean, if it sets up where the Jackets need to beat the Islanders at Nationwide Arena, where they've been very good all year long and where the crowds have been remarkable for the last 2 years, I just cannot wait to see that scenario. That could be an absolutely epic game on Thursday night at Nationwide.
Man, take the boys out. You got a little drawl coming out anyways. Take the boys out for a little Carolina barbecue tomorrow.
Sure.
And get ready for this one.
That's a good idea.
Dave, the atmosphere, if it comes down to it, the atmosphere at Nationwide Arena two nights from now will be one of the craziest games you've ever seen at Nationwide Arena.
Yeah, I agree. Can't wait.
I hope it comes to that. Dave, this was about the coolest thing ever for you to jump in ringside.
Hey, let's take a little walk.
Oh,
he's taking us on a tour.
Look at that.
There's the bench.
Wells Fargo.
There we go.
The narrowest concourse I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, let's try to find some pissed off Philly fans. Oh, they're all gone. They're all gone.
I don't think they really cared at this point. At this point. Dave, thank you so much for jumping in with us. Really appreciate it, and can't wait to watch. Hopefully Thursday night. Can't wait to watch you call.
Yeah,
one of the most epic games of the Blue Jackets history.
I agree.
See you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. See you trip home.
Yep, thank you.
How about Dave Metzel just coming in from the rink?
Let's go.
The rink.
Let's go.
From the rink. We may be a couple of goofballs, but we've made some friends.
Yeah, we've
made some friends along the way over 5 years, and Dave Metzel is one of the good ones. And when you can just send him a text that says, hey, you got like 5 minutes for us after the game, and he just does it. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Hell yeah.
I don't even want to go back to it. My asshole of the week was going to be JD Vamp.
dropping the national championship trophy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't even want to go back to it, though. I don't even want to go back to it. Our asshole of the week is done. That's it. I think Joe in the comments said his asshole of the week was Mother Nature. Yeah, she's been a biatch lately.
Yeah, fuck you, Mother Nature.
But I don't want to go to negatives anymore because I'm too positive. And Chad, let's just ride the train real quick. Just had that great talk with Dave Metzel, but dude, the Carolina Hurricanes and the Montreal Canadiens. Now, the Hurricanes have nothing to play for, which scares the shit out of me.
Right.
That scares the shit out of me. There is the impact. There is no effect of the outcome of this game on the Carolina Hurricanes. That scares me.
Right.
But Montreal's been playing terrible.
I know.
Against everybody.
I know.
So how we feeling? How we feeling about this Hurricanes Canadiens game tomorrow?
Well, let me give you a little tidbit, Mike. Here, the Canadiens are 2-10 and 3 against the Carolina Hurricanes in their last 15 games. So history is on Carolina's side, is on the Blue Jackets side right now. But the fact that they don't have anything to play for, other than pride, I mean, we'll see. Maybe the Charlotte Checkers can beat the Canadiens tomorrow. Yeah, well, that makes me nervous.
Chad, it feels very much like the opposite of what I talked about with Dave, though. It feels like, and you would expect this when you're getting chased down in the standings the way the Canadiens are. It feels like they have speaking of assholes, they have puckered.
Yes.
They have
1,000%
puckered.
Mm-hmm.
And it is stressful for them right now because they know the implication. If they lose that game tomorrow, there's a very real chance they do not make the postseason. And it feels like they are playing very tight. It feels like they're buckling, where when things looked like they were desperate for the Blue Jackets, they loosened up and they've played dominant hockey. Man, all we need one more game of the Montreal Canadiens. They have to lose in regulation.
Yeah.
They have to lose in regulation.
Correct.
They cannot go to overtime. But if they lose that game to Carolina, Chad, Nationwide Arena might turn into an outdoor stadium.
Yeah, no, it might explode. It'll explode. It'll explode. The Panthers are playing for seeding purposes tomorrow, so that is something that we can hold on to our hat. Right, hold on to. Christ, spit it out, Meyer. If the Hurricanes win, they can move up to the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. If they lose and Florida wins, Florida can move up to the 4th seed. Carolina goes down to the 5th seed. So that's something to hold on to here. And Carolina is going to play their number 1 goalie tomorrow. So we'll see. I hope. I mean, the Hurricanes are a much, 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 like if they're at full strength and they're playing their hardest, the Hurricanes are a much better hockey team than the Canadiens. So I'm hoping, and the game is in Montreal. So I'm hoping the Hurricanes just decide that they really, really, really want that 3rd seed, and decide to go all out tomorrow. Because if they do, I think this is a runaway win for Carolina. But they have to care. They have to care. And Montreal is going to play. It's a playoff game for Montreal tomorrow. They're gonna empty the tanks. They're gonna go balls to the wall to try to win this game tomorrow. And really, they don't even have to win this game. They just have to lose it in overtime. They just have to get this game to overtime. So I'm just praying that Carolina decides to care, because if they do, they should win this game in regulation easily.
There is a chance that we get done with life on Thursday and that game ends. We might have to do like one of our Twitter spaces for this.
Yeah.
But there's a chance that Thursday night, when all is said and done, the Columbus Blue Jackets are playoff bound. And that is a story that will have to be told for a long time. I don't know if anybody will tell it, but that's a story that'll have to be told for a long time, because the amount of points that they made up, that the ground that they covered over the course of just a couple of weeks to put themselves back in this. The last thing I'll say, I don't even want to manifest this into the universe, but if for some reason this doesn't break their way, what an end to the season, Chad, and what a building block for Dean Evison to use in coaching this team. What a building block for the front office to use in building for next year. I mean, these guys have essentially been playing in the playoffs for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is crazy experience for them.
They had to win 6 straight games to even have a chance to make the playoffs. And right now, they're on to their 6th game on Thursday. They just need a little help from Carolina. That's it. That it is as simple as that. That's it. What a stage that being set up for this for this drama tomorrow night. I will be locked into that game. I'm sure, Mike, you will be too. I cannot wait.
And just the guy's stepping up. It's been so fun to watch. Like we talked about Jet Greaves. Man, Jet looks like he's ready to solve the goalie problem in Columbus. But Adam Fantilli, 5 goals in 3 games now?
Yeah, he's broken that 30-goal barrier.
This is the first time in like 10 years they've had 2 30-goal scorers on the team at the same time.
Yeah,
because Marchenko's got his 31, I think.
Yeah, yep.
But it just always seems, especially through the stretch, just different guys stepping up. Look, how about Fabro just sniping?
Yeah,
just sniping a slap shot to open the scoring tonight. How about Zach Johnson? I feel like every time I turn around, Zach Johnson's name pops up.
Kent Johnson.
Wow, not Zach Johnson. Yeah. He golfs. Kent Johnson. No, I think even in a night where I felt like tonight I was watching the game, I felt like Werenski on the offensive side was pressing a little bit. Like he was taking some wild shots.
Yeah. Well,
not very good looks, but like you said, we talk about it a lot. Get the puck to the net, and you never know what happens.
Well,
but
yeah.
I felt like he was pressing a little bit tonight.
And in must-win games, you have to press. You have to take chances in must-win games, and Zach is doing that tonight, and it worked out.
Even when it wasn't going in for him,
yeah,
you got these other guys stepping up and just playing spectacular hockey.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you talked about Dante Fabro. Ever since they picked him up from waivers, he's been an incredible ad by Don Waddell. And by the way, that is my other asshole of the week. By the way, there was this movement. There was this movement online. During the Jackets' rough stretch. That people wanted Waddell and Evison fired because they didn't do anything at the trade deadline, and they're taking the Jackets out of the playoffs. And why didn't you go for this? No. You guys are assholes for thinking that. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. These guys deserve years to get this in the right direction. Yeah, anybody that calls for the job of Evison or Waddell, you're wrong, and you sound
right.
stupid.
You're very wrong. And guess what?
Real dumb.
And guess what? This offseason, Don Waddell and Dean Evison are going to have a chance to put their stamp on this team. So
I can't wait.
Here we go.
What a night! What a night! And it is so awesome. I always harken back to this graphic that I saw. They do that like wheel graphic.
Yeah,
it's like a pie chart.
Yeah,
and it was like beginning of the season. It was teams and their percentage of like making the playoffs and winning the Stanley Cup and all that.
Right.
And there were only 3 teams that had a 0% chance of making the playoffs, and the Blue Jackets were one of them. So suck it, pie chart.
0.0.
Suck it, pie chart, because the Blue Jackets have made it to game 82. The final game of the season is going to determine what happens with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And God, please, for everything, Carolina, go into Montreal tomorrow night and spank the Canadiens around a little bit. Okay, some other things I wanted to hit on. Chad, we got to get to the Browns for a minute because there's news that we haven't talked about with the Browns.
Oh, yeah?
There's news that we haven't talked about. Yeah, obviously.
Julian Aquara?
Yes, that is primarily what I was going to bring up. It was Julian Aquara.
I'm so ready for the draft just to get here.
And be done.
I'm so exhausted of all of the maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. They might do this. I'm so exhausted of those scenarios.
I have found it very funny, especially doing what we do with the OBR. And I've become a little bit more involved on the Brown side of things with the OBR. I find it very funny that if you're an OBR subscriber, you find out things pretty early.
Yeah.
And then like there was like, I want to say, I can't remember. Maybe it was Mary Kay. There was like a Mary Kay Cabot post that came out from Cleveland.com that was like, well, now Mary Kay is thinking that maybe the Browns aren't going to pick a quarterback.
Oh my God.
Like, what? We've been talking about that the whole time.
God.
No, listen, there's the big thing we haven't talked about yet, Chad, which is Joe Flacco is a Cleveland Brown. Once again, The Cleveland Browns signed Joe Flacco to a 1-year deal. I think it's base worth $4 million. It could be up to like $13 million with incentives. But now the quarterback room takes a little bit more shape and a little bit more clarity. Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco are your quarterbacks in the quarterback room.
Does that make you feel any better?
I don't want. Okay, I'll let you go. I'll go and then I'll let you go with this. I made a video about this.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm dreading about Joe Flacco coming back, and I am dreading it. I did not want them to re-sign Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
I think the lightning in a bottle thing with Joe Flacco is not likely to be repeated. I think everybody acts like Joe Flacco is going to come in and just have that same kind of success. And moreover, I think everybody is acting like Joe Flacco is going to come in and be able to make the same kind of mistakes he did the first time around, and they'll still be fine. It's not going to be that way.
Right.
The Browns won a lot of games when he made some bad mistakes in spite of those mistakes. And I think he'll be more fun. I think it'll be more fun watching the Browns than it was watching them with Deshaun Watson or Dorian Thompson-Robinson or even Jameis last year, because Jameis had one or two fun games.
We're going to get a full season of white Jameis.
Yeah. I loved the story of Flacco.
Yeah.
What I'm not looking forward to is the walls crumbling down and when the fans turn and all of a sudden Joe Flacco is no longer a kind of a Cleveland icon that he has become. And now he's going to be like, oh God, why did we do this? But I don't know. I don't think enough people are realizing what the lightning in a bottle looks like.
Sure.
And expecting that to repeat, I think, is a little crazy. Now, could it happen? Sure. Am I rooting for it to happen? 100%. I wouldn't have made the move. But I don't know. Chad, I haven't really even heard from you on the topic. So you tell me.
Listen, I think a lot of Browns fans need to realize this. Joe Flacco is 40 years old. The Joe Flacco of the Baltimore Ravens that won Super Bowls and was he's still a gunslinger. He still pushes the ball upfield. But the Joe Flacco of the 2007 Ravens that won a Super Bowl is no more. It's no more. He's not the same guy. He's a guy that's a little bit of a gunslinger. He can't really move around. He's never really been able to move around. But he pushes the ball upfield. He takes chances. He throws with anticipation, and people love that. Okay? And there was a lot of success when he was in his time in Cleveland. But I think a lot of Browns fans, and understandably so, because there has been such shitty quarterback play here since 1999, look at his time here in Cleveland with a lot of blinders on. You know, Mike, you talked about as many winning plays as he made just as many losing plays. But I'm telling you something right now, those losing plays were masked by the defense because that defense was on such a historical run. With the defense not playing, unless they somehow magically do play up to that same level that they were when he was here for those final 6 or 7 games, I think people are gonna see and really focus on those losing plays because you can't make the plays he did and expect to win many football games, right? The defense bailed him out a lot. Is he going to make exciting plays? Yeah, absolutely he is. He's a veteran. He knows offenses. He knows how to play in the NFL. He knows how to win football games in the NFL.
Yeah. And he still has the cannon arm. He can fit throws into tight windows. Like he still has the ability to do fun things. Yes.
But is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback anymore? No, not at all. So I think something like the realistic view that a lot of Browns fans need to keep in mind is this is and always will be a transition year at quarterback. Because you are drafting a rookie quarterback with the hopes that he's going to be able to start next year. If you have to force him in there this year, fine. But you are drafting a quarterback this year with the idea that Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett are going to be gone after this year, and that rookie is going to be your starter going forward. So it's not a year where now if it does, great. Again, I like you, Mike. I'm hoping that Joe Flacco can revive that magic, somehow revisit that magic. Maybe he can be that 25-year-old Joe Flacco again. But I'm not banking on it. So just keep in mind it's a transition year at quarterback, and we might be in for another long year. That's really my thoughts on it. I hope Joe does well. I hope he comes in and lights the world on fire. I do, but I'm not expecting it.
No, listen, and again, I'm going to root for it. I don't want to make this out to be like, oh, I hate this. I'm not going to root for Joe. Of course I'm going to root for it. But can I say the most unpopular thing that I will probably say? Well, I don't know. I say a lot of stupid shit, but can I say it, Chad? Can I say something very unpopular?
You always do. So
I'd rather start Kenny Pickett. I'd rather start Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
No shade to Joe. no shade to Joe. I'd rather start Kenny Pickett. I think at least with Kenny Pickett, there's potential of growth there.
Sure.
I think at least with Kenny Pickett, you could say, okay, well, he's had his moments.
Sure.
He's had his moments in the NFL where he has played some pretty good football. And
Yeah.
it didn't work out in Pittsburgh. And then he went to Philly and he won a Super Bowl. And he learned in that like kind of new, different Philadelphia system and that new offense. And when they needed him to play, he played pretty well. I would rather play Kenny Pickett and see if maybe he's one of those first round draft picks that needed a few years to get into things. And maybe he needed to learn a little bit about the league before he really blossomed into a good player. I'm not saying I think that's what's going to happen, but I think the potential is there for that. Whereas I think we know what I think when we think about what Joe Flacco is and what he's going to be for the Browns, we are looking at the ceiling.
Maybe he can
sense?
have his Sam Darnold year. Sure. Maybe he can have his Sam Darnold year.
I think we're looking at the ceiling for Joe Flacco. I think every time I read people that are talking about Joe Flacco, and they're always talking about the ceiling of what he could be, and nobody's talking about the other. Whereas I feel like every time somebody talks about Kenny Pickett, they're talking about the floor. They're talking about what they're dreading that he will be. I think I would rather see if there's a different ceiling to Kenny Pickett. That I would rather them go that route than Joe Flacco at this point.
I don't know. Yeah, I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't right now. I mean, I don't either one starting doesn't make me feel better one way or the other. Right? Because both guys, whether Flacco starts or Pickett starts, both guys are kind of in that. Yeah, hopefully they work out. Yeah, I'm rooting for them. Yeah, hopefully they can. Hopefully Kenny Pickett can turn into something. Hopefully Joe Flacco rediscovers that magic. I'm fine. I'm going to be very numb this season, and to open this season, I'm going to be very emotionally numb. And if one of them works out, then sure, yeah, my emotions will ramp up. But I'm not. My expectations going into this season, Mike, at quarterback, are very. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
And I know I've said this before, but you know what's crazy to me about the quarterback thing? There's only 3 names in this draft. I've put a lot of work into this, into looking into the draft and the players and all that. There's only 3 guys that they could draft in this draft that would actually change my opinion on the quarterback room any further.
Sure.
Which means if they go out and get Will Howard or Kyle McCord or I don't know, whoever else, even Jackson Dart, it's still not going to change the way I feel about the Browns quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If they don't, for me, in my opinion, when it comes to the draft, if they don't draft either Cam Ward, which they're not going to have a chance to do, Shedeur Sanders at some point, which I don't want them to do it too, but maybe they have to find him in a different spot, or Jalen Milroe, who I think has at least a high ceiling that you can see. If you don't draft one of those 3 guys, I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I don't want them to draft any of them. Go fill other holes on the roster. Don't sell me this load of crap that you think one of these other random guys is going to be, oh, he could be a good developmental prospect. None of them are. None of them are.
Oh, you don't want no Hugh you don't want no Hugh Jackson, trust me, on Cody Kessler run?
Oh God. Honestly,
you don't want that?
All the rest of the guys in the draft are Cody Kessler. That's what they all are.
There you go.
There you go. You might as well just name them Cody Kessler 1 through like 13. I still got people talking about Tyler Shook. I'd rather shook my way right out of this hotel room window.
Hey-o.
Than Tyler Shook wind up on my team.
I see what you did there.
If you're not going to get one of those guys, fix other parts of the team and we'll address quarterback later.
All right.
I don't know.
Hey.
So
sure.
Here's the other thing, though. The other thing, though, draft related that had everybody in a tizzy. Did you see Travis Hunter's comments?
Oh, about not like he'd rather quit football than play one position?
Yes.
Sure.
That got everybody in a tizzy. What are your thoughts on it? Knowing that Travis Hunter is very likely the Browns' top pick.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make me feel one way or the other about it. He's just expressing the way he wants to play the game. I get it. I mean, he feels. I love the confidence, right? I mean, if you're an elite football player, you need to have a little bit of an ego, right? I don't want some guy like, sure, everybody loves humility. Everybody wants a guy that is not outspoken and just comes in and works. I get it. But if you're an elite football player, confidence goes a long way. And Travis Hunter is a very confident football player. It's not ego driven by him at all. He just believes in himself, and he to go out there and get the job done at multiple positions. And you know what? He's proven it. He's proven that he can get the job done, and he's elite at two positions. So, yeah, he's pleading his case, and he's not pleading. He's stating what he wants to do at the professional level. And if you're a professional football team, if you're an NFL team, Browns or whoever, and you don't see that and you don't utilize him in the way that he wants to be utilized or that he believes in himself that he can be utilized, obviously he's got to prove it in camp that he can do it. But why wouldn't you at least explore that? There's no reason not to explore having him on the field for as many snaps as possible.
I saw so many negative comments in reaction to what he said. And my reaction to it was, yeah, I want him to play both ways. I've said this before. I want you to play him as many snaps as you can. I want Travis Hunter. If the Browns draft Travis Hunter, if they go with Abdul Carter, I'm cool with that. But if they draft Travis Hunter, play him as many snaps as you can without running him into the ground. If you're going to make him a primary wide receiver, cool. Find a defensive package. Put him in on third downs. Put him in obvious passing situations. Find a defensive package that he can be a part of because he is an elite defender and he's an elite offensive player, and you have an opportunity to let him do that for your team. Don't act like, oh, well, he did that in college, but he can't do that in the pros. Yes, he can. I know the NFL is a different game. There's a different level of physicality. We're talking about grown-ass men here. But I think sometimes we overstate the NFL versus the college game. And I think this is one area where we do it. We act like it's impossible to do what he did in college in the NFL. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It is very possible for him to do what he did in college in the NFL. And I sincerely hope if the Cleveland Browns take him, that's the plan. Again, I'm not saying if he's going to be a full-time wide receiver, I'm not saying you make him a full-time, number one cornerback, but you got to have packages where that guy can come out and make an impact defensively, because if you do, he will make an impact defensively.
P.S. I just realized my third asshole. It's Colorado and Dion for fucking retiring Shador Sanders and Travis's number.
Oh.
What the hell?
Oh, I was just searching around there for a minute. I found my third asshole.
Yeah, found it. I was looking for it. I was searching. I was digging deep, and I found it. It's Colorado.
Yeah,
for retiring their
really
numbers
too.
Are you stupid?
I thought that was really stupid.
What are you talking about?
And I think Dion is a constant asshole. I mean, I think he's just an over and over and over. Remember his first time he walked into the Colorado meeting room to meet Klinger. What's that? Oh, it's my third asshole.
Found it.
When he walked into the Colorado meeting room to meet the team for the first time, and all he did.
Yeah, you're frozen.
I know. Am I back?
There you are. There's your video.
This hotel has terrible Wi-Fi. I'm glad it's lasted as long as it has, but now I think it's
right.
It's giving me clues like, hey, time to wrap it
Time
up.
to go.
But yeah, Dion's a total asshole.
Cordell Stewart, Rashawn Salam, and Michael Westbrook have something to say about that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, I think it's really interesting. And now that we're just a couple weeks away, listen, next week.
We're not even weeks. It's next week.
Is it?
The draft?
No, it's in 2 weeks.
Next Thursday.
No, 2 weeks.
What? What?
Yeah, it's like April 28th, isn't it?
No.
Or is it the 24th? No, it is. You're right. It is next week. God, I'm so stupid. Yes, so it'll be our last show before the draft. We'll try to get a little draft coverage going for that show.
Yeah.
But
we're going to have to do our final mock draft next week.
Yeah, we'll do our final mock draft. We'll do our real one where we really pick what we think is going to happen. But
yeah.
Listen, I think again, the worst part about this time of the year is how overblown everything gets. Right, where it's like, did you hear Travis Hunter's comments? We have to react to that. And it's like, he just said he wants to play the same way he plays right now. Like, what?
Right.
Why is this the thing we're reacting to?
Right.
It doesn't change one little eensy weensy piece of my opinion on Travis Hunter and whether or not I think the Browns should draft him at all.
Right.
I
Correct.
think it's wild if it does for you.
Correct. People, don't be afraid of a little bit of confidence, people. That's the thing. People mistake confidence for cockiness, and that just turns people off. No, there's nothing wrong with being confident in yourself.
100% agree. All right, Chad, I feel like my Wi-Fi was good for the first hour, but I feel like now it is. Oh, no, wait a minute. Damn it. I forgot about
what?
I had another asshole of the week, but then
hey, Mike found his second asshole, everybody.
I found my second asshole. Did you see this broadcaster for the Atlanta Braves? The video was going around all day today because I think it happened.
Getting the girl's number.
What an asshole! What an asshole! That whole broadcast team. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to watch on television.
Yeah.
They told me I should get your number.
Yeah.
These girls. He walks up to him like he's hot shit. These girls don't know who this is. You're in Toronto, you idiot.
Right.
These girls have no idea who this guy is. He shoves a microphone in their face, and you could tell they're like, "Oh God, this guy sucks." And he's like, the hardest part to watch. He's like, "So are you guys like big Braves fans now?" And they were like, "No." I hope they gave him the fakest number of all time. I hope they gave him the world's fakest number. And then the two goons in the box that were like, oh, this is awesome. Oh my God. You all sounded like idiots. Idiots. You made it hard to watch a baseball game. Assholes.
Yeah.
Well,
assholes.
We really scattered our assholes throughout this whole program.
Hey-oh. Oh, God.
We did it. Whoa, what happened there?
Battery on my light went out.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm going to wrap this up because, again, I'm afraid that the hotel Wi-Fi is sending me messages that we're getting kicked off. I will say special shout out to the Guardians tonight. They win 6-3. Logan Allen was awesome in this game. What do you got there? What are you doing there?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were showing me your phone. Logan Allen was awesome in the game. Stephen Kwan hit a homer. Gabriel Arias continues to just smash the baseball. I don't know why people think that he's not. People think that he doesn't have a chance to be a good baseball player. Gabriel Arias has a real shot to be a good baseball player. That swing is beautiful.
It is,
and
awesome.
It's why it's why they've always tried to give him chances in the past, and now he really has a chance to take that second base position and run with it. And so far, he's doing it. But a really good win for the Guardians tonight because, as I said in one of my recap videos, they beat up the White Sox and the Royals so far, but like in their one series against a contending team, they got smashed by the Padres. Well, now they're in Baltimore playing the Orioles, another really great young team, and getting a big win tonight. Emmanuel Clase comes in and shuts the door. A clean inning for Emmanuel Clase, which was nice. It was just a very good outing to see for the Guardians. So big week for the Guardians here. Hopefully they can take that series in Baltimore, and that will make me feel real good about where they are heading. Chad, let's do our last order of business and get out of here. Our last order of business are our cheers of the week, where it's the opposite of our assholes of the week, where we just give somebody some cheers for being awesome. So who Who's your cheer of the week this week?
First off, it's I'm going to cheers the Jackets. I have two cheers, real quick. It's the Jackets. How could you not cheer them for the way they've ended the season, for the way they've come back this season? It's been a real treat to watch them go through this, to watch them fight. My second cheers goes to. Have you seen this? I don't know how to say. I'm going to butcher his name. Munarori Kawasaki interview.
Oh yeah. Which one?
From the Blue Jays?
It's old. It's old.
Huh? Yeah.
It's old.
No, I just saw it now, and
he played there like 10 years ago.
Did he really?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's a Hall of Fame. It's one of the best interviews I've ever seen. I've never seen it before. But in case anyone's never seen it, it's about him talking about eating bananas, and bananas don't make you crap. When he was really talking about how bananas don't make you cramp. But it was one of the best things I've ever seen. Baseball interviews I've ever seen. But apparently it's super old, so I'm not even going to play it. I was going to play it, but I'm not going to play it.
Munenori Kawasaki played for the Blue Jays from 2013 to 2015.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Yeah. All right.
Favorite. But if you're just finding out about him, go look up his other interviews because they are great too.
Amazing, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I have two. Well, I'm going to do my one cheer of the week because this is well deserved. I was going to cheers the Blue Jackets too, especially that last game. I'm going to cheers the fifth line in Columbus because if Carolina beats Montreal tomorrow, the fifth line in Columbus is going to be absolutely wild on Thursday, and I can't wait to watch it. But my other cheers of the week this week, how about Rory McIlroy, man? Winning the Masters, the one major that he's never been able to attain. And I know you were down there, Chad. You were in Augusta, right?
Yes, sir.
That moment at the end where it was the happiest, most relieved moment that I remember seeing on a golf course, period. Rory completes his Grand Slam. He is the sixth player to do it. And he did it in a pretty awesome fashion. Rory comes out and wins the Masters for the first time, and the whole story was great. So my cheer goes to Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, I was sitting there on the 18th green with a wireless camera shooting him. One of my shots was taken. Yeah, it was an incredible moment.
Yeah, it was awesome. So,
and it's great.
Big cheers, Rory.
And you rode off Rory like 8 times in that day, and the fact that he came back and was able to win that tournament, amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. So that's my cheers. That's going to do it for us here tonight on episode 259. Last order of business for us is just our thank yous. First thank you goes to our guests tonight, not one, but two. Our first special guest, the radio play-by-play man for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Tim Alcorn, getting playoff ready for us as the Cavaliers start their postseason journey on Sunday coming up. And our second thank you there goes to Dave Metzold. How about surprise guest tonight? Dave Metzold coming to us from ringside in Philadelphia, where the Columbus Blue Jackets just got a huge 3-0 victory to keep their playoff hopes alive for another night, an awesome night. Big thanks to both Tim and Dave. Big thank you to the OBR. Get over to the OBR.com and make sure you hit subscribe on the OBR.com. Make sure you are following all the socials and you are following and liking and subscribing everywhere, whether it's YouTube or Twitch or whatever. The OBR is the oldest and largest independent Brown site in all of Cleveland, so make sure you are tuned into everything OBR. And our biggest and last thank you goes out to all of you, whether you joined us live here tonight, and there was a whole bunch of you that jumped in here live with us tonight, or whether you are going to catch us later either on YouTube, Twitch, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Big shout out to you. We thank you. We love you for your support. That's going to do it for episode 259. We're without Joey for a couple of weeks because he's moving out to Seattle, but we will catch him in a couple of weeks from Seattle. But for Joey at Garage Beers Joe, for Chad Meyer at Garage Beers Chad, I am Michael Keefe at Garage Beers Mike. Go follow the show at The Garage Beers on all the socials. And until next week, we'll see you later. Cheers, everybody.